Talk to us about this move from Tehran. How serious of an escalation is this?
Well, I think the warship that Iran has sent is relatively small compared to the US forces, so they're still very much outgunned in terms of force there. But I think what's important is when this is happening. So this is happening at a time of already increased tensions in the Red Sea, and there's obviously this US led plan to try to protect shipping in this area where there have been multiple attacks by Iranian-backed groups on vessels that have really affected global shipping. So I think it's the timing of it that's interesting, and the fact that at this current time, if you've got lots of military ships, US ones from allied forces, and Iran in very tight areas and in areas where shipping is very crowded, then it increases the risk of there actually being something that small that escalates into something bigger. So I think that's always the concern in these areas where you have narrow, areas of global shipping or places where, there's a movement of goods. The more kind of military ships that enter into that space, the higher the risk of something happening, even if it's quite small, to spiral into something bigger.
And it's notable that even though you do have that American military presence, you are still seeing a lot of the shipping lines and the container flows actually pause from the region, which brings about a lot of questions in terms of just how much U.S. military strength in the region actually matters. In the meantime, Sylvia, let's talk about military strength in another part of the world. Israel cutting the size of its forces in Gaza specifically. Is this a new phase in its war with Hamas?
It does appear to be this way, and I think it's quite difficult because it was always quite unclear what the tangible goals would be for Israel's invasion of Gaza. They made it very clear that they wouldn't stop until they'd destroyed Hamas in Gaza, but what that actually meant was still quite unclear. Did that mean, taking out the top leadership? Did that mean eradicating all of the group? It was quite a difficult task to fulfill with unclear boundaries. So I think this looks like it is a starting of pulling out. Though I think it's interesting that there are several reasons why they might have done this. I mean, one of the things that one of the representatives from the government have been talking about is that the army is largely in control of northern Gaza, and there's been this, of course, this U.S. pressure on Israel to withdraw and to draw back its operations. But there's also, economic reasons that we've seen that sustaining the level of combat is becoming very expensive for Israel. So that's another factor that's come into it. So it does look like we're entering another phase because in the end it wasn't really clear when they would withdraw, but it does seem like gradually we're entering to another phase of the conflict now.